Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about mentorship. We're going to talk about why young men and boys need mentors, where to find one, how to find one, what to look for in a mentor, and also, and probably the most important thing, is the one thing you need to possess before you ever even consider getting a mentor. And the reason why we have to talk about this in the first place is because the process of a boy becoming a man is not natural. It doesn't just happen automatically. A boy may go from short to tall, and he might start growing facial hair, and he might get a deeper voice. But none of these things actually turn the boy into a man. Today, we see a lot of man children walking around. They are tall, they look like men on the outside, but in reality, they have never grown into a man. They continue to be boys, even in their old age. And there are many reasons why this is happening, but I think that the most important reason, and the reason why I want to focus on today, is because fathers are not doing their job. Fathers are supposed to be the one who primarily pulls the child away from the mother and forces the child into becoming a man, forcing them to be independent. The child should identify with their father. The child should learn from their father and learn how to take care of a family and learn all of the things that a father needs to teach their child in order for them to grow into a man. And this is greatly lacking today. There's a huge epidemic of fatherless households. And when the father is actually in the household, chances are they are an absent father. They spend most of their time at work, they spend most of their time at home on the phone or playing golf or something like that, and they don't spend the necessary time raising their sons into becoming adults. These sons are lacking father figures, and because they are lacking father figures, they are seeking out fathers in outside means. And this has happened for a long time, especially here in America. This is why people like Jordan Peterson has had such an impact, because he is filling in a role that has been lacking for so many young men. People like Andrew Tate step into these positions and they start to act as a father figure for these boys. And in a way, this is only happening because of the fathers being absent in the home. The boys are naturally looking for a father figure. They are looking for someone who can teach them and raise them up in the way that they should go, but they aren't getting that at home. And because they aren't getting it at home, they seek for it in outside means. Now, there are some good mentors online that are actually very helpful for boys in growing into men. I personally have people online that I listen to for advice in fatherhood or for advice in spiritual matters. And there's no problem. There's no issue with having that. But the problem is that these online figures are never going to actually be a true mentor for you. Being a mentor requires you to have a relationship with the one that you are being mentored by or the one that you are mentoring. Having that relationship between the one who is mentoring and the one who is being mentored builds a trust between the two, and that relationship gives the one who is doing the mentoring the ability to see problems in the one who is being mentored that they may not even realize. It gives the advice that they are giving a new level that will actually help that person grow into a man. Now, like I said, all of this would be very naturally done by a boy's father. A boy's father will know the boy better than the boy knows himself. This is because the father has probably done a lot of the same things that the boy is going to end up doing. But because fathers are not doing this today, we are having this issue. And this is why I even need to talk about this in the first place. So the first thing that I want to talk about is where to find a mentor. Where do you actually look for one? Now, the easiest place and the most natural place for you to find one would be in your own house. It should be your father. But since that's not happening, you need to go to church. You need to go to church and you need to find someone who has dedicated their life to God, who has dedicated their life to becoming more like Christ, who should be the mentor of us all. And once you find someone who is doing that, then you want to try and spend as much time with that person as possible. You'd be surprised at how many men are actually very willing to take time out of their day, take time out of their life to spend it with you, and you can just kind of tag along with them for whatever they're doing. Find someone who has a skill that you want. If you want to learn how to be a carpenter, find someone in your church who knows how to work with wood. chances are you'll be able to find that. If you want to learn how to fix cars, find someone in your church who knows how to fix cars. You can do this with anything. If you want to learn how to be stronger in the gym or something like that, all you need to do is find someone in church who has muscles and go follow that person. When people come to me for advice when it comes to lifting weights or exercising, what I always tell them is there are tons and tons of ways to exercise and to become fit. But if you want to look a certain way or you want to have a certain skill, you need to train in a specific way. And I might not be the best person for helping you. I may be good at lifting heavy weights, but I might not be the best at marathon running, or I might not be the best at bodybuilding or something like that. So I would not suggest someone who wants to be a bodybuilder to work out with me because that's not my specialty. So what I tell them to do is, if you want to look a certain way or have a certain skill, you need to look for someone who is already training in that way. Look at their physique, look at their attributes, look at their skills. You need to find someone like that and train in the same way that they are, because that's your goal. So you need to work out in a way that will get you that goal. And it's the same thing with mentorship. The number one thing that you need to look for when you're looking for a mentor is character. You need to look first and foremost to character. Not their outward appearance or something like that, but look for someone who has bravery, who has courage, who has a good work ethic. And you need to look at those things first, because those are the building blocks that actually create a man. Once you have those building blocks in place, you can actually work towards becoming a man. If you have a good work ethic, you will be able to learn any skill. You might not be the best at it, but you will be able to learn all of these different skills. And this is why this is so important. You need to find someone who has a character that you want, and you need to follow that person around, and you need to listen to everything that they say. Now, I said at the beginning that there is one attribute that you actually need to possess before you can even consider being mentored. And that attribute, if you do not have it, you will fail miserably in any mentor. I don't care if you have the best mentor in the world. I don't care if he's the best coach or the best teacher or anything. You will fail miserably if you personally do not have this attribute. And that attribute is humility. You need to be able to understand that the very reason that you are going to this person to learn something is because you currently do not possess the thing that they can teach you. So because you do not have the skill, or you do not have the character, or whatever you're going to this person for, you don't have it, you need to be humble. You need to come up to this person with humility and say, hey, I don't have the character that I desire. You do. I'm going to learn from you. I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to argue with you when you tell me something. I'm not going to question everything you say. All I know is I don't have what you have, and I want what you have. So I need to shut my freaking mouth, and I need to listen to you. So that doesn't mean you can't ask questions. That doesn't mean you can't think about what they're saying. Consider the source in all things, of course. But at the same time, they have the skill, they have the character, they have whatever you're looking for, and you don't. So if you're going to sit there and you're going to argue with this person every time they tell you to do something, well, that's never going to work. I remember when I was younger, I used to play tennis, and I was very stubborn because I was decent at tennis, but my coach hated dealing with me, because every time that she would try and correct my swing or my serve or something like that, I would always talk back. I would always be like, oh, just let me do it. I'm fine. I'm good enough as I am. And I would always fight her on everything. And that is not helpful. If you are not a teachable person, what's even the point of having a coach? You may as well not even have one. It's worthless. It's pointless. And this is why you need to have humility. You need to understand that that person who is teaching you knows better than you do. And you need to just shut up and listen. If they tell you to swing a hammer in a certain way, you better swing the hammer in that way. It's just that simple. Now, the final thing that I want to mention here is it is getting harder and harder to find mentors in this world. It really is. A lot of these guys who are truly men, they're very low key. They're not on the internet. They don't put themselves out there. They're just living a quiet life. They don't care. So you need to seek them out. You need to find them. And like I said, church should be the first place you look. But at the same time, if you go to church and you can't find someone who's a mechanic, or you can't find someone who's a carpenter or something like that, you may need to search out someone who's not in church. But I personally found all of the mentors in my life at church, and my church wasn't that big. So that would be the first place that I would recommend you go. And the other thing that I want to mention is you can have multiple mentors. Not all men are going to be well-rounded enough to teach you everything you need to know about being a man, right? You can have a spiritual mentor, like a pastor or something like that. You can have a trade mentor. You can have an academic mentor. You can have different kinds of mentors for different walks of life and different places in your own life. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, the main thing that you have to remember is no matter who you're going to, you need to understand that you don't possess the thing that they can offer. And that's why you're going in the first place. You need to think about that. Every time you go to meet with your mentor, every time you spend time with them, you need to always remember that the reason why you're there is to learn. And if you're doing all the talking, or if you're fighting them on everything that they say, you're not learning anything. You need to let them talk. It would be like going to meet Jesus and then you just talk to Jesus the whole time and you never let him get a word in. It would be pointless, right? You need to learn. You need to sit at the feet of the master and learn. That's the whole point. And through that relationship that you guys build, that mentor will be able to see issues in you that you might not see. And you need to give your mentor permission to critique you, to rebuke you when necessary, so that you can actually learn. And to paraphrase a proverb, wise men love rebukes. They will love you if you rebuke them, but the fools hate rebukes, and they will despise those who rebuke them. So keep that in mind when you're going to mentorship. Learn from what I'm telling you now, and don't be like me when I was younger and fight every bit of advice that anybody ever gave me. Fools hate rebukes. Wise men love them.